Have you ever been pulled over for speeding? Have you ever been interrogated by a cop? Well, cops usually follow some strict protocols, and they use secrets that they don't want you to know about. So, here are the 10 secret tricks every police officer uses. Let's dive right into it, shall we? Number 10. The rainbow of police sirens. Have you ever noticed that not all police sirens are the same? That's done on purpose, and police officers use different sirens for different occasions. If you listen closely, then you might just understand what type of emergency the officers are dealing with. The first sound is a yelp. This includes those low, high sounds that you see when the cops are chasing after a bad guy. Just like all the other sirens, this one is accompanied by rapidly flashing emergency lights. The yelp is most commonly used in urban areas, informing people to move out of the way, and the criminal to pull over. The second most recognizable sound is the wail, which is recognizable by the slow rising and then the lowering of the sound. Something like this. While the first one was used in cities, the wail is used in rural areas. That's because the drawn-out sound has a higher chance of reaching the car that's being chased. Number 9. Police pretend they know all the laws. Probably all of us have asked ourselves the following question. Do cops know all the laws and regulations? After all, they are the ones enforcing the law, so it would only seem fair that this would be the case. But in reality, cops oftentimes pretend to know the laws governing certain infringements. As one retired cop answered on Quora, cops know the usual stuff. They know that they need a warrant to search a property, they know when they can arrest someone and when they can't, etc. But the law is complex. New amendments are being added to it on a daily basis. Keeping up with all the laws would be a full-time reading job. That's why, many times, officers just like you need to smash that like button if you haven't done so already. But no, they actually don't know what to do. This, however, is not to say that you shouldn't comply with orders. That's stupid. When an officer tells you to step out of the vehicle, you do it. Believe me, it's for your safety. Number 8. They can snoop through your luggage. Hey, you can't do that. I've got Fourth Amendment rights. Well, yes and no. You see, in the case of 1997 of United States versus Tugwell, the Supreme Court determined that anyone who leaves their property unattended is forfeiting their right to privacy. And this is exactly why, if you leave your luggage unattended at the airport, police have the right to search it, no questions asked. And here we're thinking that they need a warrant to go through people's property. Turns out that's not really the case. If you're looking suspicious and go to the bathroom, you may find a German Shepherd snooping through your underwear compartment. Number 7. The tap on the back of your trunk. If you're ever stopped for speeding, you may have noticed that a cop is actually tapping the trunk of your car before walking up to the driver's seat. And if you thought it's just a coincidence, then think again. Namely, there are 2 reasons a cop would do this. 1, to make sure the trunk is closed and that no one could jump from behind him and tackle him. Also, he needs to make sure it's properly secured. 2nd, they do this to leave their fingerprints on your car. So if, God forbid, you did decide to outrun the cops, then this little tap on the car could be used against you in court. You see, since the cop left his fingerprints on the car, this is further evidence that the officer and the criminal actually met, even if the rendezvous was brief. Number 6. Don't take coffee from a cop. Hey, what a nice officer! He offered you a cup of coffee just because. He's gotta be a people person. Well, hold your horses, buckaroo. This might not really be the case. You see, the officer might actually have some other intentions. If a cop gives you a cup of coffee, this means he's after DNA. And if you take it, well, then you just received an unexpected DNA test. So if you actually are guilty, then the cop will have every right to arrest you, and the evidence will be used against you in court. Careful what you drink out of. Number 5. The thin blue line. This little one-liner had a book written about it. It had a movie made in its honor, and it has everything to do with the police. If you look at the flag, you will realize that it's a black rectangle with a thin blue line running across it. This represents the police force, keeping the population from descending to chaos and destruction. Since the cops are wearing blue uniforms, this seems appropriate, but the phrase didn't originate in America. It was actually the British that came up with this concept when they called their police force the Thin Red Line that held the enemy forces away during the Crimean War of 1854. Then, the LA police gave it a little twist in the early 20th century, and it caught on like wildfire. Number 4. They can speed. Have you ever seen a police officer pass a red light and even drive over the speed limit? How about make a U-turn, which is actually forbidden? Well, they might actually be allowed to do so. If the sirens are activated and the emergency lights are on, then the officer has the right to drive however he deems necessary to catch the criminal, all while not putting the lives of others at risk. If this is not the case, for example, they're not chasing after someone, then regular rules apply. Number 3. Cops and donuts is a stereotype. Have you ever seen a cop with a glazed donut in his hand while holding his gun in the other? Well, we know we have. But you know what? Cops are tired of the stereotype, and it all began back in the early 20th century. You see, back in the day, cops working the night shift had to go somewhere to eat. The only places that were open late at night were donut shops and gas stations. And while they went in for a cup of coffee and to get some paperwork done, they would often treat themselves to a glazed donut dinner. Thanks to marketing campaigns, movies, and a lot of stories, the stereotype has stuck ever since. Number 2. Cops are allowed to lie to you. If you thought that cops are obliged to tell you the truth, boy, are you in for a big surprise. Not only are cops allowed to lie to you, they're encouraged to do so. Now, why might that be? Well, if they need to extract some valuable information out of you, you will often hear cops tell you these 4 lies. Number 1. We can get a search warrant within minutes. Just let us in. Number 2. You'll receive a light sentence if you cooperate. Number 3. Your fingerprints were all over the crime scene. And number 4, our personal favorite, we have an eyewitness. Number 1. Police officers avoid telling you about swatting. Because people have been harmed in these operations, the cops don't like to talk about them and give people the wrong idea. Namely, this was intended for people to stay safe. But trolls learn to make harmful jokes from this. What people do is they actually acquire a person's home address and they call the police. They tell them that a gruesome crime scene has taken place or is about to take place on the address of their choice. To spice things up, they might even say that the criminal is holding hostages. The police force responds, sending a SWAT team to the address. In a matter of seconds, the door is busted open, the owner's pinned to the ground, and there's a ton of property damage because of this. No wonder cops keep this a secret from us. On a related note, do you think police officers are doing their job, or are they just racist? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.